Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we're unpacking some absolutely crucial insights about human motivation and achievement. We're going to dig right into the core of why we actually do the things we do. To do this, we're borrowing a really vivid metaphor directly from our source material, a relentless, grueling mountain climb. I mean, think about it. The sheer scale of tackling a massive peak. It's kind of the ultimate representation of human achievement, isn't it? But before we literally, well, metaphorically, lace up our boots and hit the trail, we've got to stop and ask ourselves one absolutely fundamental question.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why climb the mountain? Sounds simple, right? But I want you to really think about it for a second. Because the material we're looking at today argues that your answer to this single question dictates, well, pretty much everything about your journey. If you don't have the right answer, your climb is basically doomed before you even take that first step. It's a pretty intense philosophical hook, but it really forces us to look inward and analyze our deepest, truest motivations.
Section 1. Choosing your mountain. Let's look at the high stakes here.
So, as the text explicitly lays out for us, taking on this mountain trek is definitely not a casual walk in the park. The trek demands pain. It demands immense effort. It's going to consume your time, and it will force you to make some very real sacrifices. When you're staring down a challenge of that magnitude, the source makes it perfectly clear. You absolutely must be passionate and self-motivated. Taking this on requires genuine, undeniable passion. If that internal fire just isn't there to get you through those inevitable hardships, the literal pain and sacrifice, you simply aren't going to make it to the top.
Moving on to Section 2, the wrong reasons.
So if passion and self-motivation are the non-negotiables, what are the traps we fall into? Well, the source gives us a really fantastic checklist of exactly why you should not choose to climb. Ready? Don't do it just because it's freely open. Don't do it just because you're bored or have some free time. Don't do it just because everyone else is doing it. I mean, FOMO is a terrible trail guide, right? It's like taking on a grueling side hustle just because your neighbor did. And absolutely, under no circumstances, do it just because of pressure from family or peers or maybe someone you admire. It's crazy how easily we let these external factors dictate our choices, isn't it? We just kind of drift into these massive commitments for the absolute most superficial reasons imaginable.
Which brings us to Section 3, the consequence of pressure.
Let's slow down the pace for a second here, because this next part is incredibly critical. What actually happens when we start climbing for those superficial reasons we just talked about? Well, the text maps out this brutal domino effect of failure. It starts right at step 1, jumping into something purely due to external pressure. When you do that, the source notes you simply can't give it your all. And that immediately triggers step 2, a half-hearted effort. You're basically just going through the motions. Naturally, a half-hearted effort leads straight to step 3, unsatisfactory results. You lose the plot, and you get disappointed. But here's the real tragedy. Step 4. This entire cycle completely weakens your willpower to make progress and try again. Jumping in for the wrong reasons doesn't just ruin your current climb, it actively destroys your resolve for the next one. It literally sets you up for a much higher chance of failing in whatever you try next.
So, how do we fix this? Section 4. The internal compass.
We have to look inward. We really need to ground ourselves here and talk about the incredible power of having profound personal meaning attached to what you do. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the contrast in rewards, which comes straight from the source. On one side, you've got the expectation of recognition or appreciation, right? That's an external reward. But the text argues that if you climb based on your own passion, you're doing it for you. When you finally conquer that challenge, you don't even care about the applause. Instead, you feel completely satisfied, glad, and delighted. You know exactly what kind of improved version of yourself you've become while battling your way to the top of that peak. And that profound joy of self-improvement, it completely overshadows the empty, fleeting feeling of just seeking external applause.
Let's transition to Section 5, the rule of life.
Okay, we can actually drop the mountain metaphor entirely now, because the source makes it crystal clear that this psychological lesson applies directly to your real-world career, your personal goals, literally whatever it is you're pursuing in life. The text states, and this is a direct quote, "Take up an activity because you feel close to it and are willing to struggle." The source is insisting here that if you don't genuinely love the work you're doing, if you aren't truly passionate about it, the chances are incredibly high that you'll just find reasons to quit right in the middle of your journey. If you don't care enough, you're going to allow any random external factor to convince you to give up on the promise you made to yourself.
So, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that you must attach a deeply meaningful value to what you are doing. As the text explains, this meaningful purpose is exactly what helps you stick to it when things inevitably get difficult. Think of it like an unbreakable anchor. The clear reasons and the profound purpose behind your endeavor, those are the exact things that are going to pull you through the absolute most challenging times of your journey.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. And I want to leave you with a question that I really hope sits with you long after we're done here. What mountain are you climbing right now in your life? And honestly, whose choice was it? Are you climbing because you genuinely want to? Or are you just succumbing to external pressure? Take a moment today to really reevaluate the why behind your own goals. Check that internal compass and make absolutely sure the peak you're striving for is truly your own. Thanks so much for joining me to explore this incredible topic, and I'll see you on the next one.